Alright, so I got my hands on a game that honestly I had no idea even existed, but thankfully the company Carbon Studios actually approached me and asked me to review it. But yeah, this game apparently came out prior. It's on the HTC Vive and the Rift. But this new version, which is called the Wizards Enhanced Edition, is actually coming out for all systems simultaneously, including the PSVR. So yeah, let's get to it. Is this game fun? Most importantly, is it worth the money? Well, let's find out. Alright, for starters, let's talk about the aesthetic. The graphic fidelity is great on the PS4 Pro. Textures are sharp and smooth, and everything looks good. The art style is your pretty standard fantasy fare. Castles, dungeons, deserts, and mountain forests litter the path before you. Areas are designed with clear intent. You can spot enemy-littered arenas from a mile away, as well as secrets and platforms, which are pretty clearly indicated to help the player traverse forward on their journey. Overall, it's good, but doesn't go really above and beyond to flesh out an iconic world. But with this kind of game, that works just fine. It's not distracting, and when it works, it definitely gets the player immersed in the game world. The sound design is also very similar, pretty standard, but one thing that does shine here is the voice acting, which I will touch on in a bit. But yeah, besides that, let's move on to the story. Now, I will not spoil anything here, but I will touch on the overall premise. You play as a wizard who has been called upon by another much more powerful wizard from beyond the void. He has failed to save the land from an evil warlock, and it's up to you to travel through time and space to defeat him and save the kingdom. Again, pretty standard, and most of the time it's just meant to push the player from A to B. It serves its purpose, and that's pretty much it. But one thing did keep me invested, and that was the narrator, the omnipresent head wizard who guides you through your adventure. He is both helpful and a bit of a jerk, which translates well into a lighthearted comedic performance. He never gets annoying, and he only speaks when he has to, which surprisingly is a lot considering how much stuff is constantly going on. Besides that, the story is honestly over before you know it, and it's a real shame because I definitely see a much more fleshed out world, especially with this lore, since it deals with time travel and alternate dimensions. So, if you are looking for a deep, rich story, sadly that is not here. But honestly, that is not the reason you should play this game. No, instead the best aspect of this game is thankfully the gameplay. Now, other reviewers have said that this will make you feel like Harry Potter, but I actually disagree with that. It makes me feel much more like a traditional wizard from classic fantasy lore. Instead of using a magic wand, the magic is at your fingertips. You are given 6 standard spells to choose from, all of which are triggered by specific hand motions from the motion controls. These range from summoning an ice bow that shoots ice arrows, to a cluster of magic homing crystals. Each spell has their specific uses, all of them are at your disposal, and it's up to you on how to use them to take down the onslaught of enemies the game throws at you. It's hectic, challenging at times, and you really get into the action as you move your hands around to summon the correct weapon. Not to mention, each of your spells are upgradable, and trust me, you are definitely going to want to do that. It adds a huge level of immersion, and you begin to feel like, well, a wizard. And it honestly feels, for the lack of a better word, magical. On top of that, the game is not just full of repetitive combat. The action is intercut with minor exploration, some platforming, and puzzle solving. Everything is paced well, and once I began to feel tired of one aspect, the game would introduce a new mechanic to keep things fresh and new. Furthermore, there's also an interesting magic card mechanic that is available at the beginning of each chapter. Cards can be found in magic chests across the story, and each of them has a unique effect, which can make the combat easier, or if you're feeling up for a challenge, much more difficult. Now, speaking of difficult, what about the overall movement and accessibility for players with issues with motion sickness? Well, thankfully, like most VR games nowadays, there is a multitude of options to accommodate every playstyle. Snap turning, smooth turning, teleportation, increased movement speed. Everything is here, and personally, I cranked the speed all the way up on all the dials, and you can't get a smoother experience than that. Regardless, all in all the gameplay is the real seller here, and I hope that more games follow suit, and are inspired by these type of gameplay mechanics. So, onto my final thoughts. This was an overall treat. As far as fantasy games go, this one finds its strength by not putting so much emphasis on the actual adventure and story, but more the gameplay. Its main goal here is not to take you on a massive layered journey to save the world. That's what Skyrim is for. No, instead this game mixes gauntlet-style arcade gameplay and simple yet precise motion controls to achieve one thing and one thing only: to make you feel like an honest-to-God, all-powerful wizard. And it feels exhilarating. If anything that I just said has piqued your interest, well, I can safely say that this game is for you. Ready your magic robe, because this is one adventure worth fighting for. Well, that's the review. And yeah, let's ask the question. Is this game worth the money? And it retailed $24.99. I say yes. I mean, the story by itself is actually 5 to 6 hours long, and there's a lot of, stuff to unlock there. There's some, stuff you can, find in the game, some collectibles. But once that's all said and done, you still have the arena mode to look forward to. And what that is essentially a horde mode. Just non-stop enemies just coming towards you, and the combat. The main reason to keep playing this game for me was the combat. I mean, yes, you'll be, waving your arms around like a crazy person, just doing this and that and that and this, but that's what you look like on the outside. Inside, again, you feel like a wizard, and it honestly feels freaking great. So yeah, for $24.99, I guess it might seem a little steep for some people, but again, a 6-hour campaign and a lot of, freaking replayability through the arena mode. And also you can upgrade your stuff, you could also make it harder, challenge yourself with the, the cards. And overall, it's a damn well priced package. But even if, you're the kind of person who wants to wait for a sale, that's fine. I mean, I understand it. But no matter which way you spin it, this is a great single player experience. And honestly, if they had multiplayer, that'd be even better. But seeing as it is now, just a single player experience, it's great. And even if you were playing this with friends and you just did all that crazy stuff, it looks ridiculous, yes. But once again, you feel incredible as you play. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later.